Hello, welcome to another video on the Python basics. In this video, our focus will be on functions. I would like us to look at functions and talk about functions. In Python, a function is a block of organized, reusable code that is used to perform an action, just like we have in mathematics. A function is what takes in an input and gives you an output, right? The same thing is the way functions work in Python. We use the def keyword to define functions in Python, and we define function using the keyword def keyword, and this keyword is then followed by a name for the function and two brackets, that is open and close brackets, where we put in our parameters. So here is a typical syntax for Python. Here is a typical syntax for functions in Python. We have def, diff or def, or whatever we want to pronounce this, def, and you call the name of the function whatever name you want to give to your function. So you put it right here, then you open and close the brackets. Sometimes your function would need to have taking some parameters. Some other times it may just be an empty function that you can just call to perform a task for you. So right here, this function takes in three parameters: a, b, and c. As I pop as I place my mouse, you can see it's showing me parameter a, parameter b, and parameter c. And you end that first line of the diff function definition with a full column. Very important, you have to end it with this full column, else it's going to throw up an error when you try calling the function. The next line is where you then put in all the things you would like to do with the inputs you've collected. So sum results equals do something with a, b, and c, and finally you return the result you want to use. So return keyword is another word that we use in Python. Now take note, whenever you are assigning variables, although like I said in the previous video, we will talk about variables in subsequent videos, but let me just quickly mention this. When you are assigning variables to any given quantity or value, you don't use any of the keywords. There are some keywords in Python which I'll show you how to get them later in a later video, but for now, return is another keyword. Def is a keyword, so we have used def to define the function, and we use return to return back the output of what the function has done. Okay, so here's a simple example. In this example, we want to calculate monthly expenses, and we define the function. We define monthly underscore expenses. That is going to be the name of the function. So whenever we want to execute or call the function, we call it by the name monthly expenses. And this function takes two parameters, rent and food, and then it calculates the monthly total expenses by adding the two parameters rent plus food and returned total expenses. All right, so now if we want to use this function, all I need to do is to click on run. To run this, I've executed this function. It's already registered in Python's memory, but after running this function, you notice that nothing came out. There was no output. I need to enter a new cell under this so that I can run a code to see how this function works. All right, to enter a new cell, there are several ways of doing that. One way is to click on this plus code button to include a new cell. Now it has given me a new cell. Another way is to select this particular active cell and press B on your keyboard. When you press B, a new cell will be entered. But if I intend to insert a new cell above this existing one or the selected cell, I use A. So when you press A cell will be entered above the selected cell, but when you press B, a cell will be entered below the selected cells. Those are different ways of getting cells into Google Colab. So I need to delete this particular cell we just entered. We don't need it, I delete it, and then I need to delete this very cell over here because I only need one cell. So now with this single cell that we have created or entered or inserted, we want to call the monthly. So I go ahead and type monthly. When I use my monthly, let me see, using my tab is meant to pop the remaining text up, but I don't know, it's not working yet. Let's just go ahead and type what we want to see. monthly expenses. Okay, great, that's popped up right now. So with monthly expenses being typed, all I need to do is to put in my parameters. Remember, it's taking two parameters, rent and food. So rent and food will be values, right? So I'm saying this is the amount I spent on rent, and here's the amount I spent on food. So I open my bracket and say, let's say I spent $1,500 for rent per month, and I spent say $3,000 for food. So once you do that, all you need to do is to hit your run button, or you click on this button to run the cell. As you hit on that button, it gives you the output 4,500. So you can see that is how the function works. That's how function works in Python. I have called the function that was defined above, monthly expenses. I gave it two parameters, because those were the number of parameters that were used to define the function. And finally, it gives me an output. And this is really amazing and super interesting. So let's look at some other functions. Consider the following function. I can also define a function without putting a parameter. I did mention this earlier. So here I'm having print something. I do not want to give it a parameter. I call the function print something. So whenever I call the function, I expect the function to just print out an output, and then it's taking nothing. It's taking nothing in as a parameter, but it is actually giving something out as an output. Okay, that is other way of having or writing a function. So when we run this function, if I hit on this button to run this function, the function will be registered in Python memory. The next thing I need to do is to actually call the function. So all I need to do is, once I call the function print something with the empty parentheses without giving it anything inside, it gives me the output print something. It gives me the output something, because under the function I just told Python that when I call you print something, what do? Display this word something in the manner at which it was typed right in here. Okay, so let's talk about the return keyword, or the return function. So when you look at the difference between return and print will only display. Print doesn't register anything what you are outputting in memory. When you use print function or the print keyword in your function definition, it only returns the value, returns what you have there, display it to the output, but it doesn't register it to Python's memory, which means that you cannot use that value that it's showing you or it pops out for any further calculation. I will say that again. When you use print statement or print keyword or print function, because it's also a function, when you use print function in any function definition in Python, whatever it gives you as an output cannot be used for further calculation. But when you use return as the keyword to put out or to show out what you use in your function, then you can use the outputs to execute further calculations. I think I should quickly demonstrate what I just explained here for better understanding. So that is what this particular cell is trying to explain. This particular part of the notebook tries to explain. I would quickly, give you an illustration for better understanding of what I just explained right now. Let's do that right here. I will insert a new cell right here. Okay, B. So I've inserted a new cell. Let me zoom this in also again to help you see what I'm doing clearly. Right now, I'll define two simple functions. I call the first function add something. Let me call the first function add something, and add something will take in two inputs. Takes in A and B, for instance. Then I end with full colon, press enter. Let's go ahead and call this C equal to, or let's call this result equal to A plus B, right? So, and then I want to return the result as print result. So once you perform the calculation, it prints out results. All right, great. So this is awesome. This is my function defined. I would define the same function. Let me do this below, and instead of using print, instead of using print, yes, I'll use return in this particular instance or situation. So return results. So for my print result, the result has to be in a curved bracket after the word print. But for return, I do not need to put whatever I want to return in the bracket. It will give me the expected result. So these are two different functions, but I'll call this other function add something to. So I have the first one, add something, that will return a print, return to print out the result, but add something to will return the results. So let's run this function for add something, and we'll run this function for add something to. Now this is what I mean when I say that the results that will be returned for the using the one that has the print statement or print function will not be stored in memory, but the results that will be returned for the one that has the results function will be stored in memory. So let's go ahead and call let me go ahead and do something. I want to insert a new cell. If you say add something, add underscore something, yes, add something of 2,5, add something of 2,5 gives you 7, right? Because it has printed the output as 7. Now let's say add something of, I want to insert a new tab, a new cell, add something, add underscore something 2 of 2,5. All right, so and that also returns 7. Great. So this is 7, this is also 7. Now this is what I want to do, because this is outputting 7, it gives me 7, right? I want to use that 7 or multiply 7 by 4. Okay, I would want to use the result that is returned in the first function, add something, multiply the value by 4, and I'll do the same thing here. I want to multiply the value by 4 for the function that uses return to output its result. So when I do add something 2,5 of 4, watch what happens. So it gives me an error. It pops up an error. It says unsupported operand types for asterisk, non-type, and int. Why? It's saying that Python cannot see anything. It says I'm trying to perform an operation or asterisk, which is times. Actually, I'm trying to multiply nothing with an integer, and I do not understand how to perform such kind of operation. That is what Python is saying, right? I don't support this kind of operation. You multiplying an integer with nothing, it doesn't work. But let's come over to this other function that uses return and run this cell to see what happens. So you can see Python gives an answer 28, which is the actual correct answer that have been performed. So I hope with this illustration you've been able to understand the reason why you would always need to choose to use the return keyword for a function definition other than using the print function, because the print function will not, I repeat, it will not register the result in the memory. It's only outputs. So the 7 you see when you call add something 2,5, this 7 that displays is just outputting it to the screen, but it doesn't register it in memory. That is what print does. Print only gives you an output that doesn't register that result in memory. But when you use return actually registers the result in memory, right? And you can use that result to perform further calculations, just like I have demonstrated right here. Okay, so I hope with this video you've understood the concept of functions, how to define functions in Python, and the reason why you choose return over print, even though print can also output the result from a function definition in Python. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this. If you enjoyed this video and if it was resourceful and insightful for you, please like, share, and comment the way you feel about this video in the comment section. And if you're yet to follow our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit the follow button to follow us to get updates whenever we drop in new interesting and insightful content like this. Do have a wonderful time. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye for now.